had no idea what Scouts was. Like, kind of like you said, camping and tying knots and stuff. Yeah. But this is amazing.
You'll recognize that it's a lot aligned with South Asian culture. When you're kind of British Asian, like, it's really easy to lose your identity. My life has changed because of Scouts. What they really loved to do was to act out the story of Diwali. I mean, who doesn't love the story of Diwali? It's brilliant. Someone's Ram, someone's Sita, someone's Ravan. They just really love it and they embrace it. We teach our 8-year-olds how to chop vegetables, how to peel vegetables, how to iron. And the number of parents that suddenly feel like, oh my God, you're gonna let my child near a sewing needle at the age of 8, you will not regret it, because not only are you giving back to your community and to young people, you're helping the next generation along.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Social Untold. Hope everyone is doing well today. Today we're going to talk about something really special, something which is shaping our future leaders. We're going to talk about Scouting. And for that we have with us Nisha today. How are you, Nisha?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Pleasure to have you. Nisha, first of all, we'd like to give you this. Happy Women's Day.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. That's so nice. Thanks for remembering.
No
That's
worries,
lovely.
no worries.
Thank you.
So how are you?
I'm very well. It's a busy time of year for us at Scouts and just in general. So I am fresh back from Manchester yesterday night, where we went to the UK Youth Forum. So this was a gathering. There's 4 youth forums taking place over the next month. And it's basically bringing together young people who scout in different parts of the country so they can have their voice and we can hear about what they want from Scouts going forward. So we had the first of them yesterday in Manchester, which was amazing. So it was a really great day. So it's a busy time at the moment.
Lovely, lovely. So Nisha, your profile with Scouts is like UK lead volunteer, right? Volunteer for perception, I guess.
Yes.
So what does this mean?
So as you might or might know, Scouting has been going for a very long time. So since about 1907. And with any brand that has a really long, rich history, you need to make sure that people understand when you're moving along and how you change with the times. We're called a movement for a reason. So part of my role is to do with things like branding and image and trying to help people understand where we are as Scouts and how we've moved on. So obviously when it came to being all those years back with Baden-Powell in 1907 and today, Scouting has moved a long way and we've changed, we've moved with the times. So my job is to make sure that people understand inside the movement and outside of the movement how we've changed and how we are still relevant today. So we do that in many different ways in my role, but that is my primary purpose in this role.
Perfect, great. Okay, tell me more about your journey. Like, how did you get involved in Scouting and how did it shape your cultural identity?
So there's a lot of people I've met in my Scouting journey who've been Scouts for so long. My journey is a bit shorter. I say short, but to many people it might seem like a long time. 10 years I've been a Scout.
That is long.
It feels like a long time, but I've met people who were Scouts since they were 5 or 6 years old.
Wow.
So for me, I grew up in Birmingham, which is in, about 100 miles away from London. And I used to live around the corner to a church and there was a lot less to do. We didn't have social media or phones or anything like that. And in the church, there was a guides group. Now, guides is for girls primarily, and it still is actually. So when I was growing up, I used to go to brownies and guides. And it was a really happy time. I used to really enjoy going there every week and earning badges and learning how to sew and learning how to do all these great things. And then that just, I grew up, forgot about it. And then I moved to London and I've got 3 kids. And when my oldest son, who is now nearly 17, when he turned around 6 or 7, we were at a park in Ealing and it was a Sunday afternoon. And I saw all these young people in the park and they were there for something called the St. George's Day Parade, which is, St. George is the patron saint of England. And they were there was about 500 or 600 of them. They were there, they were marching through the park with a band. You could see that they were having a great time. There was hundreds of people there watching them. And it suddenly reminded me of my days as a guide and a brownie. And I thought, hold on, I want my children to be involved in this, because when you have children, you suddenly realize that what you want from them, you want them to build a sense of community around them. You want them to grow up to be good people. And I really remember that when I was a young person growing up in Birmingham all those years ago, that guiding instilled a set of values in me,
Yeah.
which aligned with my cultural values, and I wanted to bring that to them as well.
Yeah.
Because when you're kind of British Asian, like, it's really easy to lose your identity, because you're kind of like, your parents are trying really hard, but you're growing up with all kinds of people around you, especially in London.
Yeah.
So that is how my scouting journey started. So I tried really hard to get my son into Beavers. That's for our 6 to 8 year olds.
Okay.
And what happened was, they said to me, you can join, but we really have no space right now. Stay on a waiting list. However, if you want to become a leader, we might be able to make space for you. So I took my son along to this one night, Wednesday night. I'll never forget. I took him down to the Scout Hut, which is not far from where I live, in West London. And I saw what they were doing. And I could just see that there was so much to learn, and there was something, it was giving young people something that school doesn't do.
Yeah.
Right? It was giving them all these skills, and I could see it just in front of me. In that 1 hour that I was there, the scouting was giving all these young people opportunities that they were never going to get in school, as far as I could see.
Yeah.
That moment, within that hour, I signed up. I said, right, where do I sign up to become a leader? And that was the first time. After that, every Wednesday evening, and now Tuesdays, because I do cubs, which is a slightly, I have been going to scout sessions, and that's where my scout journey started.
Yeah.
As a cub leader now that I am, and I still continue. And my interest and my involvement in scouts has grown and grown and grown. And so now I've actually got 4 different roles in scouts.
Wow, great.
Which I've taken on. So lots of responsibility, but I love it. And I don't think I'd change it for anything, even after 10 years.
Yeah. So what do you think about the parents who think like the extracurricular activities, this just like a waste of time, or like to distract students from the studies, basically? What do you have to say to them?
Oh, so much, so much. So what I'd like to say is, like, so this is what I see with Asian parents. We and don't get me wrong, I'm a bit guilty of it myself, right? You know, I think it comes from being an immigrant as well, especially in this country, right? So my parents came here with nothing. They came from Uganda. My grandparents came with, really, they came with zero in their pocket. They literally had a few pounds. So they've had to work really hard to build up everything around them. And they didn't have the opportunities in education that especially we get in this country. So we've had a lot of opportunities. So I can understand why Asian parents are kind of like, look, you need to work hard, become a doctor and whatever. But anyway, you know, all these kind of things.
Yeah.
Now, what they don't really get is that in this day and age, it's not enough to have education. Right?
True.
Education is just like expected.
Yeah.
You leave school, you have GCSEs, you have A levels, BTEC, go have a degree, go and get a master's, PhD, whatever you want.
Yeah.
That is not enough anymore to secure a job. You need to show that you're a rounded person and that you've got a lot of soft skills.
Yeah.
Now, this is where Scouts comes in.
Yeah.
It brings you so many things. And actually, it does a lot of it without you even realizing, right?
Yeah.
Leadership, you know, making decisions, understanding how to work with different people, like teamwork, working with different age groups, being able to organize things, being flexible. All these things that we see as, that might be regarded as soft skills, are very important in the working environment.
Exactly, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And when you're 14, 15, and I mean, I've been going through this with my own children, they have to write a CV, even just for work experience, right? What does a 15-year-old write on their CV?
Exactly.
What do they write? UCAS forms, when you're filling out university application forms, they want to know that you've got more to you than just your grade A's or whatever it is. So if in Scouts, you can talk about the fact that you've worked together to do camps, you've gone on international expeditions, you know how to do hikes, you understand how to work with different types of people. There are so many things that Scouts gives you, right, that you just cannot get anywhere else. And you don't get this by one session.
Yeah.
It becomes a way of life. So if you join Scouts from a young age, this becomes part of your kind of DNA as you grow up, and you don't even realize that you're learning all these things.
True.
So when you're there and you're writing your CV, you have got such a rich CV that you don't need anything else. Like Scouts gives you so much because of the range of activities that you do. And it's the only extracurricular activity that you can do where you are rewarded just for trying your best. Because that's part of Scouts, doing your best. And that really is something that young people can kind of look up to, you know, in terms of what they can achieve.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. How do you think that Scouts would help children to navigate the balance between the South Asian roots, like you mentioned, with the Western upbringing, because I think it's poles apart.
Actually disagree. So there's a lot of things so in terms of the values, if you think about values, because I
Yeah.
think for us Asians, values and cultural values, religious values, they're all really important. And actually, one thing that I didn't realize until I became a scout is that our values align. If we just
Okay.
put education aside,
Yeah.
things like for me, I've grown up in a huge family, right? My dad's got 9 brothers and sisters. My mom's got 11 brothers and sisters. Family is a huge part of my life,
Yeah.
right? And community is a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And that is what you get in Scouts. When you join Scouts, you become part of a community, and we do things the same way. Like when I go on a cub camp, for example, I'll be able to be with hundreds of people. It's like, just imagine going to a wedding, right? I'm not fazed by thousands of people at a wedding,
Yeah.
right? All these people that come along to our camps, the aunties come along, they'll get these big tapelas, they'll be able to make their chicken curry or whatever they want, and everything's there. It's a familiar environment in terms of how we cook, how we behave, how we work together as a community,
Yeah.
how, the peer-to-peer learning, everyone together, being kind, doing seva, like you're giving back to your community here. So all of these different things that we believe as South Asians,
Yeah.
I think in scouting is what we do. It's what you are learnt to do, to respect each other, to respect your elders, to respect other people around you, to do things together,
Yeah.
to kind of really build a community feel and have fun together. It's a core part of what we do. So I actually think that the values that we have in our culture align. And even when you make the Scout Promise, when you hear the Scout Promise, all the different versions of the Scout Promise, you'll recognize that it's a lot aligned with South Asian culture and what we believe. Not even religion, it's mainly to do with the culture. It's what we do.
Yeah.
So it's not far apart at all.
Yeah, no, I actually do agree with you. It because whatever you said, it does remind me of doing back when I was a kid with my grandparents and my cousins and everything. But then I do realize when we actually grow up, then all those things go away, and
Yeah.
then we just like, you don't even realize that all those things are gone now. And then now that you just said all those experiences with scouting that people can experience, I think it's perfectly like a good blend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things, so when I was growing up, my mum taught me how to cook,
Yeah.
right? So if you think about it, what we are doing with the next generation is that we are giving them skill, and this is a scouting motto, we're giving them
Yeah.
skills for life. There are some things in Scouts that you do that that young people are not taught at home, right? So for example, we teach our 8-year-olds to do home skills and DIY. So I'll be saying, right, okay, this week in Scouts, we're going to be teaching young people how to chop vegetables, how to peel vegetables, how to iron, right, and how
Yeah.
to sew. And the number of parents that suddenly feel like, oh my God, you're going to let my child near a sewing needle
Yeah.
at the age of 8, and you're going to let them chop things, and cook and all of that at the age of 8. We start this at the age of 6, right? So beavers is 6, and we've got even younger squirrels now, which
Yeah.
are age 4. You are teaching them things that they will be able to value when they're growing up. And I think as South Asians as well, I stood by my mum when she was cooking and she was cleaning. This is what you're teaching in Scouts. You're teaching them all these kind of skills, these core skills. Where do you learn them otherwise?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a working mum, right? So I don't have time always to be able to
True.
pass on all of these cooking skills. Even things like, they get a bit sport with things like dishwashers in this country, right?
Yeah, true.
So it's like teaching them even how to wash up. I mean, you don't think of it as a skill, but this is the kind of stuff that we teach in Scouts. It's like, you come to Scouts, you learn a skill, you repeat the skill. When it's cooking stuff, you learn to clear up, you learn to wash your plates, you learn to take care of each other. These are all the kind of things that we learn as South Asians. This is what we do when we're together.
Yeah.
And this is what you're teaching them. And you're teaching the next generation who have so much going on, right? They don't have like the same sense of this. The life at the moment is a whirlwind. And what you're teaching them to do is all the core values that I learned when I was growing up that are not so important now, but you're bringing them back to the basic skills that they need, but they maybe don't even realize they
Yeah,
need.
true.
Sense
Yeah.
of community and all of that. It's really important
Yeah.
to teach these things. And I don't see anywhere else that you get all of these things especially for the value which Scouts provides. We do everything at low cost value and make it affordable and attractive to everybody, because we understand that we need to feed off each other to be
Yeah.
able to grow and learn and become a community wherever we are.
Amazing, amazing. It's so interesting. Yeah, this is great. You're teaching me so much today. Okay, so if you had to describe scouting to like a Desi parent who's like
Yeah.
hesitant towards scouting, how would you describe it?
So I'd say it's a bit like a youth club. It's a club that you can join, and you come along every week, and it's for anybody. And what you will learn is you will learn things that are maybe out of your comfort zone, but
Yeah.
things that you will learn nowhere else, and also possibly sometimes things that you don't know yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So at Scouts, we're teaching skills that even parents don't have. But what we do is we also welcome parents to come along with their skills to pass on those as well.
Oh, that's
right?
great.
So, yeah. So, you're sitting here hosting a podcast, right? So we could have you as a parent or a friend of Scouts to come along and teach young people how to use a microphone or how to do presenting skills. It doesn't matter what it is that you know. The idea is that we grow and learn and
together,
teach each other
yeah.
skills
Yeah.
and learn together. The other thing is you get to go on fantastic experiences. We're very lucky in London. We've got so many different campsites. You get to go along and do things like climbing, archery, rifles in a really safe environment where you get to do these activities that where else do you get to do these things?
Yeah.
So it's a chance for young people to not only just make friends, but to try out different things that they might never get. And every week is different.
Yeah.
Every month is different. Every activity is different. And it's just a fantastic experience for any young person that wants to join.
Amazing, amazing. So it does feel like Scouts like mix the adventure and culture together really well.
Yeah.
How do you guys celebrate the festivals like Diwali and Eid, and how does that evolve?
Oh, so Scouting encourages, we've got badges. I mean, we're big on badges,
Yeah.
right? So we've got badges that encourage that as well.
Okay.
And obviously we want everybody to join Scouts, and we want everyone to feel welcome at Scouts. So when you've got festivals that you celebrate, you're encouraged to. So I have celebrated Diwali many, many times with my Scouts, and I've done it with different groups. So I've gone along to a group that I don't know and celebrated Diwali with them. But with my group, we've done things like we've made Rangoli patterns, we made diwas for Scouts. What they really loved to do was to act out the story of Diwali. I mean, who doesn't love the story of Diwali? It's brilliant. And for them to be able to act it out, make face masks and someone's Ram, someone's Sita, someone's Ravan, they just really love it and they embrace it. At that age, they just absolutely love it. And what's really lovely is they love dressing up too. So
children love that.
They love that. They love that. So we had a Diwali show a few years ago, like a Diwali dinner, and our 8-year-olds put on a bit of a show. So I went along and I read the story and they acted it out, and it didn't matter. They came from all different cultures, but they just embraced the story and acted along. They put the clothes on. It didn't matter where they were from, and they put the clothes on. They embraced it. They ate they really enjoyed eating curry. I mean, in this country, curry is king in this country anyway,
true.
right? So they were able to eat the food, try out food that they haven't tried before, and celebrate the culture. And we do that regularly. And what I love is that, especially about this part of London, right? We're in West London, Southall's down the road, Wembley's just here. I can walk around wearing a sari, a salwar kameez, whatever I want, and I'm comfortable. And I can go into my Scout group wearing these clothes and nobody blinks, nobody bats an eyelid at all. They find it really lovely that I'm able to do that. So we do things like that. But regularly, at least once a term, we go on a cultural visit. So we make it part of Scouts. We go to the mosque, we go to the Gurdwara, we go to the temple, and we visit all religious places of worship. So all of our Scouts understand what it means to be part of that community. And what's brilliant is that it doesn't matter whether you're Sikh, whether you're Hindu, whether you're Jewish, you go in and you're all as one and you just take part in that culture and you just embrace it. So we make sure that we celebrate all of the big festivals for every religion. And it's just lovely.
That's amazing. How do you think these experiences shape a child's emotional well-being and like their confidence?
Oh, hugely. So I think all over the world, especially after COVID, there's been a real decline in the mental well-being of young people.
Okay.
And we know it's proven that being outdoors really helps that,
Yeah.
right? Also, young people grow up with an iPad in their hand,
Yeah,
right?
true.
You know, and a phone. We're not much better. We've all got phones.
Yeah.
So what's really great is that being a scout means that you get outdoors and you get using your brain, you're out in the fresh air,
Away from the devices.
you're away from the devices, you're doing brilliant activities, whether it's in nature, doing a hike, playing games out in the fresh air.
Yeah.
And we teach young people to have a love of the outdoors. Doesn't matter if it's raining, we put on wellies and go out, whatever, you know. If the sun is shining, we enjoy that. It's just learning to appreciate being outside. And I think that is so valuable for young people and their well-being, to nurture a love of the outdoors that they might not always get at home. I mean, Asian parents, I'd say, we're not great at being outdoors. Like,
yeah, true.
You know, we're not great. So actually it forces that that love, and then I think parents are kind of forced to do a bit more of that as well. So it's a really brilliant way of building up your kind of mental well-being, I think, again, without even really realizing it. And confidence, gosh. So at the moment we're doing I'm going to Switzerland so Scouts we do brilliant expeditions. So in August I'm going to Switzerland, and we're taking our Scouts there. And so everyone, obviously the parents are paying for the trip, but because we're Scouts, we say you have to fundraise for your trip as well. You can't just expect your parents to pay.
Okay.
So now I'm taking them through a variety of fundraising activities which they have come up with and they are organizing. Now just imagine, you've got these young people, they're like 10 years old, 11 years old, coming up with ideas for fundraising. Like, we're actually having a Korean quiz night, right? So we're going to be having a night which is parents or family members, they pay for entrance, and the young people have to run the entire evening.
Wow.
Just imagine the confidence that builds in a young person, that you've given them the trust to be able to run an event like this, and they've got the support that they need behind that, right? So we're doing things like this in the background all the time with confidence building. So we're giving them the opportunity to do things, again, that they won't get a chance to do anywhere else. And I'm saying to them, I trust you to do these things and I'll guide you along the way.
Yeah.
Right? And things like this build confidence. Public speaking, there's so many opportunities for doing public speaking.
Yeah.
Again, this is not something they get to do so often. And I think these kind of things are stuff that, Asian parents love.
Yeah.
Being able to kind of stand in front of a crowd and talk confidently. You can't teach that. You have to do it.
Yeah.
So, this kind of stuff is really where Scouts comes into its own and really provides a platform for young people to be able to show off their skills, build their skills, and just do it in a safe space where they can just, be themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, being yourself and everyone else just accepting who you are.
True. Do you see any difference between South Asian kids and like kids from other communities? Like, how well they engage with scouting? Is there a difference, or all of them are same?
No, I mean, I think it'd be silly for me to say that we will all react the same way to Scouts, because it still is sometimes seen as an activity that isn't for South Asians. But this is part of my role, to try and make young people understand that it is for them.
Yeah.
The skills that they learn are fantastic. The community spirit is brilliant.
Yeah.
And they can join in. So in different parts of the UK, we have different communities who are involved in scouting. So in places like Wembley and Southall, we've got a huge federation called the Muslim Scout Federation.
Okay.
So they operate and they're able to kind of follow Islamic values, but build in scouting. Like I said to you, they align really well. In Wembley, they aren't a Hindu scout group, but they are a scout group that is predominantly Asian. So we've got those kind of scout groups that are set up around the country, so that people feel like they can connect with their own people, because we know that sense of community is a huge thing.
True, yeah.
But we've also got, like, my scout group that I run is a hugely mixed environment for different young people.
Yeah.
And we do find that sometimes they can be hesitant, and sometimes because they're not sure what to expect.
Yeah.
But if they've grown up in a mixed environment, they come to scouting in the same way as anyone else.
Okay.
So sometimes it's the parents. They're not sure what to expect, and they're not sure what scouting is all about. So it's about breaking down those barriers and saying, look, it opens up a child's mind. It gives them an opportunity.
Yeah.
They get to have loads of adventure, and the family can get involved. It's about bringing the family along with them in that adventure, and getting them to experience. I mean, I have experienced so many things in Scouts I don't think I would have ever done anywhere else.
Yeah.
Whether it's like going hiking or like, cooking on a campfire.
Yeah.
And some of the things that we do align really well. I mean, every time I go on a camp, when we're doing outdoor cooking, it's kind of like, it just reminds me, like, I just think about even now when I go to see like my uncles and aunts, when we're cooking for a lot of people, they'll sit outside on a little stool with these big stoves, like frying buri or something. And it's the kind of stuff that we use at Scouts.
Yeah.
It's all the same kind of stuff. So it's all familiar stuff once you really get into it as well.
Yeah. Amazing. So tell me one thing. It does feel like that scouting has become very inclusive. How does it help with the South Asian kids? Like, for example, let's talk about meals, or I don't know, do you have uniforms? What do you wear?
Yeah.
So
we do have a uniform.
yeah.
And the purpose of the uniform is to instill a sense of belonging, a bit like a school uniform, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you wear a school uniform, everyone looks the same.
Yeah.
We are the same, and it's great actually, because when you walk around, I mean, I've come here with a Scout necker on today. We all have a necker which identifies you with your group. What's great about a uniform is when I'm walking around wherever I am in London. Actually, last year I went to Italy. I mean, everywhere I go, I see Scouts. And seeing them in a uniform means that you recognise them straight away. Like, you know that.
Yeah.
And I can only like describe it as growing up in this country. Before, when I never used to see so many Asians around, the minute you saw an Asian, you'd kind of look at them and you'd connect a little bit, just on a level that you're Asian, I'm Asian, we've recognised each other, that kind of thing. With Scouts, it's the same thing. Wearing a uniform means that wherever you are in the country, wherever you are in the world, you see a Scout and you're like, you're one of me. You know, we align. We've got the same values. We are Scouts, right?
Yeah.
We're part of a huge community. I mean, there are 57 million Scouts in the world, so you're going to bump into them wherever you go. So the uniform, that is what it's for. And there are different uniforms for different sections. So Beavers, who are our youngest, they just have a turquoise jumper. Cubs have a dark green jumper. Scouts have more of a formal shirt and trousers.
Okay.
And Explorers have like a kind of a brownie kind of shirt. And then the leaders have a uniform too. And yeah, so we all wear uniform, but not all the time. We wear them to our sessions.
Okay.
But the necker, the Scout scarf is the most important thing.
Oh, okay.
And you're given that when you're invested into Scouts.
Yeah.
And in terms of what you're saying, I mean, when you're invested, these are sometimes we use these funny language in Scouts. It's when you become part of the group, you're given a necker and you can make a promise. And we've got a promise for Hindus, a promise for Muslims, a promise for Buddhists, or a general promise as well.
Yeah.
So it makes you feel like you're part of a community. And that is so important, I think, to feel like you're part of a community. And everyone's the same. It doesn't matter whether you don't have much money or whether you've got lots. We all are the same kind of people when we're in a Scout uniform. We're all the same and everybody's treated the same.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. In terms of meals, oh gosh, it goes from everything. I mean, I go to Cub Camp every year and I honestly make curry for 100 people.
Okay.
And I'll just go there and I'll cook it, and it's just, everyone will have it with rice and naan and they love it, So meals are done on dietary requirements. Doesn't matter whether you're halal, you're vegetarian. I'm vegetarian, so I make chicken even though I'm vegetarian because my kids eat chicken. So everyone's dietary requirements are accounted for. No, it doesn't matter whether it's dairy or halal or vegetarian. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
It's all accounted for. So no one ever has to worry that this is a place that you'll go and you won't be looked after. Food is a huge thing at camp.
Yeah.
We eat a lot of food. When you're outdoors, you eat a lot.
Yeah.
We make sure everyone eats plenty. So, it's a good place to be.
Amazing. And what about like some families, especially Muslim families, Muslim parents, they would want their children to, wear hijab. Is that possible?
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's no requirements for anything like that that they can't. Hijabs, turbans, it's all seen as the same. I mean, even if it's not just that, I mean, even from the Black community, girls with Afro hair, like we literally make sure that we account for everybody.
Yeah.
And we make sure that the parents understand that it doesn't matter what your background is, you just need to talk to us and just say, this is what my child needs, and that's fine. And like I said, there is a Muslim Scout Federation that just is for Muslim young people. So at the moment it's Ramadan, and those kind of things are catered for. Yesterday when I went to the youth event, there was a space for people to pray, right?
Okay.
You know, and there was a halal option for food, and you're asked about these things beforehand. It's everyone understands, I think, at Scouts, that if you want people to be part of the movement, you have to make them feel like they're welcome. And the way that you feel welcome is to feel that you are catered for. You don't have to ask for any of these things. They're all just there. Obviously, you know, people make mistakes, but whatever, we try our best. And that's all, as Scouts, that's what we say. We try our best. We do our best. And that's all we can do. And we try to do that all the time.
Amazing, amazing. So have you, like, I keep on thinking about the traditional families. Have you ever faced any pushback from the parents?
In what sense?
In a sense, like, it could be anything. Like, they've tried sending their kids, but then they want to stop sending their kids for some reason. Have you faced that, and like, how did you address it?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's like, you know, if Scouts isn't for everyone, right? Not every club is for every young person. So if a child has tried it and they don't enjoy it, obviously we'd encourage them to try a few more sessions to see if they like it more. But if they don't like it, there's, you know, you do your best to try and include a young person in every way that you can. And if they don't like it, there's not, I think you have to let that go sometimes. But we try our best to make sure that everybody feels included. If it's not, because, you know, if we've tried to make them included and they still don't enjoy it, then I don't think you can force a child to, you shouldn't really force a child to do something they don't want to do. But we want to make it as fun a place to be as possible. So we do try to make sure that every child, I mean, you know, even if they've got any kind of learning difficulties or whatever, everyone's included. There's no person that's not included in Scouts.
That's good. Have you ever noticed, like, a child really wants to, you know, keep trying it, stay in the group, be part of it, but the parents don't want it? Have you ever faced that?
No, because not really. I mean, it's they wouldn't. I mean, up until at least they're 11 or 12, they are being brought by their parents, and their parents have to support the activities that we do. For example, if we're going on camps, the parent have to drop them and pick them up and do all that kind of stuff. So it would be very difficult for it to work at all if the parent wasn't engaged in that way. It can happen, obviously, it can happen the other way, but very rarely it's normally the parent that starts them off in Scouts, because they understand, most of them understand the value in Scouting.
Okay, so is there any one misconception for the South Asian parents about Scouting that you'd like to change?
Well, I think that when they think of Scouts, a lot of people just think of camping and that's it. They don't think of they think, oh, you and not just South Asians, they think you just go to camps and you tie knots, that's it.
Okay.
So I'd like to say that is not all we do, although those are valuable things to do, to learn. We do so many different things that, I mean, I've already explained quite a lot of them, just getting outdoors and building friendships and communities, all these things. So what I'd like to say to anybody listening is that, yes, we do camp and we do all of these things. It is part of Scouting, and it will continue to be part of Scouting. But we have moved on so much since those early days that anything that you might think Scouting was about, it probably isn't anymore. We've probably moved on so much. So I would only encourage them to try it and see how they feel about it afterwards, because it will open their eyes, I'm sure.
Great. Okay, so we're going to head to a little rapid fire questions with you.
Okay.
Okay. Can Scouts pray at camp?
Absolutely, always.
Yeah.
There's always a space, and if there isn't a designated space, there will be somewhere that can be created very quickly.
Okay, perfect. Are there any religious accommodations made?
In food-wise?
Maybe in some religions, it's not allowed, like, for having the girls and the boys to sleep together. So is there like
the girls and boys tend not to sleep together anyway.
Oh, okay.
So we tend to do boys' tents and girls' tents.
Separate, okay.
They're separate anyway. Okay. But if there was an additional requirement, we'd obviously listen to what the parent had to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens if the child has exams during the
They don't have
camp?
to attend.
They don't have to attend. Okay. And they don't miss out on anything?
Well, I mean, the thing is, we're very conscious of what we're doing all year round.
Yeah.
So we try and plan our activities accordingly.
Yeah.
And of course, there will be some things like camps around exam time, but we try and be really mindful of that. And we have
Okay.
activities. We do camp all year round, so there'll be another one. There's always something going on, so
Okay.
a young person doesn't have to feel like they miss out. There'll always be the next thing.
Okay, perfect. And does scouting really help with academics?
I think it gives young people perseverance and resilience.
Okay.
Right? So it's very easy in this day and age to give up, right?
Yeah.
Young people sometimes don't have enough of that.
Yeah.
Scouting means that you develop a sense of being able to try. If you fail, you try again, and you understand that becomes a process. So I think that it really does help you with your academics in that sense. And obviously, for example, when you're going on a hike, we do things like, right, so you've got £5, you've got to budget, go to Tesco or go to a local supermarket. How do you feed five people in your group with £5? What would you buy? So now you're getting them to think about like things like maths, right?
Yeah.
So
Makes
there's
sense.
things that kind of stuff. We've got lots of badges. I mean, the book reader badge, it's about bringing your book in and understanding like would you enjoy reading. So we're teaching that kind of academics type stuff, but really we're not school.
Yeah.
We're not school. But we teach them other things that are around the edges that will feed into that kind of school life. Participation, putting your hand up in class and just trying to answer a question. That's important in school life.
Very important. Yeah.
Not being scared to say what you think and, just giving things a go. So I think it does play into the academics, just slightly differently.
Okay. I think this one's really good. Yeah. I love that. Okay. What's one thing South Asian parents worry about that they really shouldn't?
I think maybe they worry that their children and young people might not understand how to or might not do well on a camp. I think camping is a big thing, right?
Yeah.
So they send their children off for 2 or 3 nights and they're kind of like, oh my gosh, are they going to eat enough? Are they going to sleep enough?
Yeah.
Will they get to change their clothes? Will they know what to do in the morning without us being there, especially the younger ones, right? And I think they don't need to worry at all. We teach resilience. They learn from each other.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about Scouts. Young people, you leave them to learn from each other and they really surprise you. So I would say to anyone listening that if you're worried about things like camp, and that tends to be the biggest thing, how will they survive? Your child will thrive at a camp in a way that you will never really be able to explain or understand until they go and come back.
Yeah. Do you have any funny story from scouting?
Oh, that's an interesting
I
one.
guess many of them.
So I meet Scouts everywhere I go. Like I said, when I was on a train in Italy last year, I walked past a group of Scouts who were doing an activity. A couple of years ago, so my parents are from Uganda.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I went to Uganda for the first time with them. And my mum wanted to go and visit her old school. So it's in Suroti, and so we went to Suroti, and we went to her old school. Me, her, my dad, and my massi. So it was four of us. And when we were walking through, we bumped into someone that was there, and they speak Swahili. My mum and I don't really speak Swahili. They speak Swahili, so they were speaking to this lady, and they were asking about their old head teacher.
Okay.
And the lady said, yes, he still lives on the premises, and he lives just a bit further along. So we said, oh, of course, what a great opportunity. They haven't been back to Uganda, so they haven't seen this man for that many years. So we walk along to this man's house. I'm obviously soaking in the fact that this is where my parents grew up. So it was amazing for me anyway, my mum at least. And we knock on the door, we go inside the house, and the first few things I see, while they're kind of embracing and hugging each other and making that, I look around and I'm like, this is a Scout person that I had no idea. So I was taken by surprise because I just thought, I've come all this way to Uganda. I've come to a tiny, tiny village, and I've gone into this guy's house, and the first thing I see is a Scout necker and like pictures of him in his Scout uniform with the president of Uganda, and calendars from like I think 2011 or something. Wow. Just because he's an old man, right? Yeah. There, and I just stood there and thought, I can never get very far without meeting another Scout. Really, it's just incredible. What happens when you're kind of looking. And anyway, it was just a really lovely emotional moment. So I just showed him because he couldn't speak very much, so I showed him a picture of me in my scout uniform, and he was just like, oh my god, you're a scout as well.
Yeah.
And it was just such a familiar thing, and he gave me his scout necker, and it's
Wow.
such a big thing in scouts.
Yeah.
We do swap neckers, and you collect them now. I've got a collection now of like about 15 or 20 different scout neckers from different parts of the world,
Yeah.
or different groups, and that one's really special to me because that's my mom's head teacher, and he was a scout leader, and it was just an unexpected moment for me to go there and realize that this guy's been in scouting ever since he could literally, he was tiny.
Yeah.
And my mum's brother, my mama, went to that school as well. And when I went back and said, I met this guy, and he was like, yeah, that was my scout leader. And I think that's kind of when I sat back and realized, actually, my family were scouts, but they never really talked about it.
Yeah.
Until I started getting interested in what I did. And then suddenly the doors open. I was like, well, this is what you did. You know, being outdoors was a big part of life. And it is in India. It was in Uganda. You know, they didn't have much else. They were outdoors all the time.
Yeah.
So again, it's where my scouting world, my family, all of that kind of collided in this really weird moment that was just incredible for me to kind of try and process at that time. It was just amazing.
It's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, so tell me, like, number one reason that parents should enroll their kids for scouts. This is for our audience who are watching.
Yeah. So again, like I say, Asian people like to look at the academics. They like to understand. They like to think,
Yeah.
right, my child needs to put their education first.
Yeah.
So see this as an education. This is a different type of education. Your child will thank you in 30 years' time, right, that you put them into scouts, because the things that they learn in scouts, they will never learn, or they probably won't learn elsewhere. So I would say that is the number one reason to put your child into scouts,
Yeah.
because you will give them an idea, you will open their mind, and they will learn things that they won't learn probably anywhere else.
Yeah. I just got a big question. What about kids who are very shy or like introvert? How does scouting help them?
It helps. Well, do you know what? There is a place for those young people as well. If, as a leader, if I see a young person is shy or an introvert, I try and bring them out. I try and encourage them slowly to take part in activities.
Okay.
And over time, when they become more comfortable, they tend to grow in that space, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a young person in my group who likes to always sit next to me, right? That's his thing, right? He just wants to sit next to me. That's fine. Sit next to me, I'll talk to you, and we will, you know, go through the activities together. It's not a problem. Most of us leaders have got that kind of understanding that, and also we are there for a reason. We want young people to develop good skills. We want them to be happy in the environment that they're in. So we are very accommodating of those kind of things. It's absolutely fine to be shy.
Yeah.
It's fine to be an introvert. Over time, give it time, you will grow and you will learn. And that young person, even if they're still shy and introverted at the end of their scouting journey, that's fine. That just might be what kind of person they are.
Yeah.
But they would have learned so much along the way.
Yeah, true. What would you say to the parents who feel that their kids are already too busy? Like maybe after school they have like some sort of sports or...
Oh, we get that all the time.
Yeah.
So, and my children are guilty of that too. What I would say is that scouting, again, offers you your child a chance to do so many different activities every single week. It could be making pancakes. It could be learning how to go on a hike. It could be learning to tie knots, right?
Yeah.
Or using an iron, like I just said. Running games. All of these different things that they are learning on their scouting journey plays into some of the things they might do after school. So it's worth looking at your activities and thinking, oh, I wonder if, like, you know, that will feed into the scouting journey, will help feed into that love of a particular sport or a particular activity, like art or something like that along the way. And will it give them more longevity in terms of over time?
Yeah.
They might get more. I would say that they might get more out. I mean, I might be slightly biased. I'd say they get more out of scouts if they were to do that long term, because they'll get to do some of these activities along the way. I mean, we're now in April. Over this next 3 months, with my scouts, I will be outdoors every week, and they will be trying every sport under the sun, whether it's on the water, whether it's in a park, whether it's doing something with nature.
Yeah.
They'll be trying all these things. And most of the time for these young people, it will be the first time they're trying these things. So it gives them an opportunity to try all of these different sports and activities that they might not otherwise get to do. So, you know, playing football every week, Yeah, that's fine. But at Scouts, you might get to do football once, but then you get to try rugby, and you get to try,
true.
you get to try all these other activities as well, or
Yeah.
tennis, or basketball, or
And
table tennis.
this way
any-
kids can actually realize what they enjoy the most.
Exactly. They might find, we've done that. So we've had young people, we've had like a hockey group come
Yeah.
and teach how to play hockey. And then some of our young people have gone on and they now, play hockey for a club. And that kind of stuff. So it's a way to introduce them to activities that they might not otherwise get to do. So
Yeah.
why do one when you can do like 100? Like, you get to experience so much.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. So if any of the parents listening to us today, if they want to enroll their kids for scouting, where can they find one?
So there's scouting all over the world. It doesn't matter what country you're in.
Yeah.
There's scouting. I mean, even in India, I mean, there's like nearly 4 million scouts. And in Pakistan, there's like 500,000 in this country. So scouting's a growing movement. It exists everywhere.
Yeah.
So in this country, if they want to go and look for a scout group, their local scout group, because
Yeah.
it exists everywhere,
Yeah.
they just need to go into Google and type in find my local scout group.
Yeah.
And then they just put in their postcode and they can find their local scout group. But there's scouts all over the world. So even if there's people listening in India or in Pakistan or anywhere else, any
Yeah.
of our South Asian countries, there is scouts that they can join there, and it points you to your local
So
group.
what sort of activities do they do there in scouts, like in India and Pakistan?
We all do similar types of activities.
Okay.
But obviously there are regionals, there will be differences in terms of what they might want to learn. They might want to teach Indian
Yeah.
scouts or Pakistani scouts, because
Yeah.
it's a cultural thing as well, right?
Yeah.
So here but one thing that the movement shares is badges. So there are badges for everything. We've got and a young person's journey, their journey is shown by the number of badges that they have on their arms. So quite often you'll have young people with badges all the way down their arms.
Yeah.
And they could be skills like DIY, it could be outdoor skills, it could be on the water,
Okay.
swimming,
Yeah.
first aid,
Yeah.
really essential things. So pioneering, and it aims to be a range of activities, some that they will be familiar with and some that they won't. So in here we might teach, how to put up a tent. In India they will probably do the same, because they will go camping too.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We might do some kind of, we have a DIY badge here. Same thing. They'll have a variation on that too.
Yeah.
So we do so many different activities, and we are guided by, we've got a brilliant team at Scouts who put together program ideas that leaders like me can kind of embrace and look at.
Yeah.
But we can find our own too, and we can put whatever we want into that program, and we try and make it balanced and varied. So across the year, across the time that a young person is with Scouts, they get to experience as much as possible. So we put a
Yeah.
lot of time into developing activity ideas
Amazing.
for young people.
Yeah. So you earlier mentioned that there are like different clubs, right, or different age groups for scouts.
Yeah.
So what are those age groups?
So we call them sections. So there's
Sections,
different
okay.
sections. So a couple of years ago, we launched our newest section, which is squirrels. So squirrels are our 4 to 6 year olds. Absolutely
Okay.
gorgeous. They come to sessions with their parents or a mom or dad or a carer,
Yeah.
and they take part in 45-minute activities. It's beautiful. And that's when often now they start their scouting journey.
Okay.
And then 6 to 8 year olds are beavers, so slightly older. And then 8 to 10.5 year olds are cubs.
Okay.
And 10.5 to 14 year olds, they're the scout. That's it. They're called scouts.
Okay.
So they are actually, because that's where we started
Yeah.
that many years ago, scouts.
Yeah.
And then 14 to 18 year olds are called explorers. And then
Okay.
18 to 25 year olds. Now, not a lot of people know that you can be part of the movement at that age. They're network. They're called network.
Okay.
And then after that, by the time you're 18, you can be an adult leader as well.
Yeah.
Because you can get a disclosure, and then you can work with young people
Yeah.
and do that.
Are there any upcoming events in Scouts?
So many.
So many, amazing.
Locally, we've always got something coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I've got, like I said, I'm going to Switzerland with 700 young people from the UK, from
Wow.
London. So we've just, and the UK has its own different. So we're going together in
Yeah.
August. So that'll be an amazing. My son's coming with me as well. So we'll have an amazing expedition, 10 days. So that'll be fantastic. But actually, every 4 years we have something called a jamboree and a jamborette. And a jamboree. So as I said, there's like 57 million scouts throughout the world, right? So every few years there are opportunities for these young people to come together from all over the world, and there's literally, this is like an epitome, because you just go to places like this and you're like, wow, again, I'm part of a worldwide community, but it's a chance for you to mix with countries from, young people from Asia, from Europe, from Africa, and it's everyone's in one place.
Yeah.
So the last one was in South Korea. So you've literally got thousands and thousands of young people coming together in a location. The next one's in Poland.
Okay.
So it's in a couple of years' time. But the prep has already started, because these are such big events.
Yeah.
So from this country, there'll be a delegation going. And, young people apply to go. They get training for months to ensure that they can handle, because they're there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That they can handle this. So just like the growth that happens to a young person during this time is incredible. And then they get to go to an international country, sleep in a tent for a couple of 10 to 12 days, and meet with people from all over the world who speak different languages, have got different cultural norms, and they just exchange ideas and become friends. And some of these people become friends for life.
Yeah.
So again, it's an opportunity you would never get in any other environment. And so we do things like that all the time. In July, August time, we've got something called a moot. That's in Portugal. So that, again, that's a bit like a jamboree, where you've got just people coming from all over the world coming together.
Amazing.
To just have a great time and do adventurous activities and have fun. So we've always got something going on and something coming up and something to look forward to. That's what scouting's all about, having fun and looking forward to something all year round.
It is amazing. This is so great. Okay, we're coming to our last thing. Do you have any last words of wisdom for our parents? Just try and push them to, send their kids to the scouting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I've kind of said a lot of it already, but all I can say is that my life has changed because of Scouts. 10 years have gone by, and I can't imagine my life without Scouts anymore. And I think that whether you're a young person who wants to try Scouts, or whether you're a parent that's looking for something, even to be a volunteer. I mean, we're always looking for adult volunteers to take part in Scouts, whether it's just to drop into sessions or to become a leader.
Yeah.
All I can say is that you will not regret it, because not only are you giving back to your community and to young people, you're helping the next generation along, but you're also kind of showing willing in terms of helping the next generation grow as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important for as an adult, to be able to help the next generation to grow and understand and help them navigate through life.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. And I would say to parents who might be looking to explore Scouts, is to say, Scouting will give you your child an opportunity to navigate life in a different way. And I'd really encourage people to try it. Don't look at it and go, oh, it's just another activity. Give it a go. It's fantastic. I would always recommend it.
Yeah, amazing. This is literally eye-opening. Like, I had no idea what Scouts was. Like, kind of like you said, camping and tying knots and stuff. Yeah. But this is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that with us today.
Well, you'll have to come along to a session now and see what it's
I think
really
I might
like.
end up doing that.
Yeah, you might. And I can teach you some knots if you really want to. But I can teach maybe you can come along and teach our young people something.
Yeah, why not? I think I should give it a try.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for coming here today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the episode today, and please do send your kids to Scouts. This is a great way for them to learn skills which are helpful for lifelong experiences. This is the end from us today. Take care. Please do subscribe us, like us, leave in comments what you felt about the episode today, and share this with all of your friends and family. Take care. Bye.